I never thought I'd be that person who storms out of a family dinner, but sometimes life throws curveballs that even the most patient people can't catch. My name is Natalie, and until last Sunday, I prided myself on keeping my cool, no matter what family drama unfolded. Let me give you some background. I dated James for 3 years. We met in college, moved in together after graduation, and had what I thought was a solid relationship. He was my first real love, the person I imagined building a future with. We talked about marriage, kids, the whole package. Then, 8 months ago, he blindsided me with a breakup. "I'm not ready for the commitment," he said. "I need to figure out who I am outside of this relationship." It devastated me. I moved out of our shared apartment, spent weeks crying on my best friend's couch, and slowly started rebuilding my life. The breakup wasn't amicable, but it wasn't apocalyptic either. We agreed to give each other space, which meant cutting contact completely. I blocked him on social media, deleted his number, and started the long process of getting over my first love. 2 months after we broke up, I heard through mutual friends that James had started seeing someone new. That stung, but it wasn't unexpected. What I never anticipated was that his new girlfriend would be my cousin Megan. Megan and I grew up together. Our mothers are sisters, and we spent every holiday, every summer vacation, every family milestone side by side. We weren't best friends exactly, but we were close in the way family members who grow up together often are. She knew everything about my relationship with James. She'd been there through the highs and lows, offering advice when I needed it, celebrating our anniversaries with us. When I first heard they were dating, I confronted her, called her immediately, hands shaking so hard I could barely hold the phone. "Is it true?" I asked when she answered. "Are you dating James?" Her hesitation told me everything I needed to know. "Natalie, I can explain," she started, her voice unnaturally high. "It just happened. We ran into each other at the corner bar, started talking, and there was this connection. I never meant to hurt you." "You never meant to hurt me?" I repeated, incredulous. "You're dating my ex of 3 years, someone you watched me build a life with, and you never meant to hurt me?" "It's not like he's your husband," she said defensively. "You broke up. He's allowed to date whoever he wants." "And you're allowed to date whoever you want to," I replied, "but out of all the men in this city, you chose the one person who broke my heart." "That's a choice, Megan. A choice you made knowing exactly what it would do to me." I hung up and cried for hours afterward. It felt like a double betrayal, losing both my partner and a family member I trusted. The following months were awkward, to say the least. Family gatherings became minefields. I'd check in advance whether Megan would be attending, and if she was bringing James, I'd make an excuse not to go. My mom understood, though she gently encouraged me to find a way to make peace with the situation. "Family is forever," she reminded me. "Relationships come and go, but your cousin will always be your cousin." I tried to take her advice, I really did. I started going to therapy to process my feelings about the betrayal. I downloaded dating apps and went on a few first dates, none of which led anywhere significant. I threw myself into work, earning a promotion that I was genuinely proud of. Slowly, I started to heal. Then came last Sunday's family dinner. My Aunt Linda, Megan's mom, was celebrating her 60th birthday. It was a big deal, with relatives coming in from out of town, a catered meal at my grandparents' house, the works. Mom had been clear that Megan would be there with James, but I decided to attend anyway. It had been 6 months since they started dating, and I felt strong enough to be in the same room with them without falling apart. "I'm proud of you," Mom said when I told her I was coming. "This is a big step." I arrived early to help set up, deliberately keeping myself busy arranging flowers and setting the table. When Megan and James walked in, I felt a dull ache in my chest but managed a tight smile and a nod before excusing myself to the kitchen. I could do this. It was just one dinner. We made it through appetizers with minimal interaction. James attempted small talk once, asking about my new job, and I responded politely but briefly. Megan seemed nervous, fidgeting with her water glass and glancing at me when she thought I wasn't looking. I focused on catching up with my uncle from Florida, whom I hadn't seen in years. Then came the main course. My grandfather had just finished saying grace when Megan clinked her glass with a spoon, standing up with a nervous smile. James rose beside her, his hand on her lower back, a gesture so familiar it made my stomach clench. It was exactly how he used to touch me. "Everyone, we have an announcement to make," Megan said, her voice trembling slightly with excitement. "James and I wanted to wait until we had the whole family together. She paused, looking around the table, her gaze skipping over me entirely. "We're expecting. The baby's due in February." The table erupted in cheers and congratulations. My aunt burst into tears of joy, rushing to embrace her daughter. My grandmother immediately started talking about knitting baby blankets. In the midst of the celebration, no one seemed to notice that I had gone completely still, my fork suspended halfway to my mouth. February. That meant she was already 3 months along. They'd been dating for 6 months. The math hit me like a slap to the face. Megan had gotten pregnant just 3 months after they started dating, which was only 2 months after James and I broke up. The relationship I thought would lead to marriage and children had ended, and within a quarter of a year my cousin was living the future I had imagined. I felt the room start to spin, the celebratory voices around me becoming a distant buzz. Without conscious thought, I set down my fork, pushed back my chair, and stood up. Every eye turned to me. I saw the moment Megan realized what was happening, her smile faltering, her hand protectively moving to her still flat stomach. "Natalie!" my mother said warningly, a plea in her voice. I opened my mouth, closed it, then simply shook my head and walked out. No scene, no shouting, no dramatic accusations. I just couldn't sit there and pretend to celebrate the fact that my cousin and my ex were having a baby together, a baby that could have been mine if things had gone differently. I made it to my car before the tears started, hot and fast, streaming down my face as I gripped the steering wheel. I hadn't cried over James in months, but this felt like reopening a wound that had barely begun to heal. I sat there for what felt like hours, trying to pull myself together enough to drive home. My phone buzzed repeatedly with texts and calls, but I ignored them all. I finally drove home in a daze, crawled into bed fully clothed, and shut out the world. The next morning, I woke up to dozens of messages. Some were from my mother, concerned about whether I'd gotten home safely. Others were from relatives expressing various degrees of disappointment and anger. From my Aunt Linda, "I can't believe you would ruin Megan's special moment like that. She's your family." From my grandmother, "Family comes first, Natalie. Your behavior was unacceptable." From my cousin Tyler, "Dramatic much? It's been 8 months. Get over it already." But the one that really got me was from Megan herself. "I knew you'd make this about you somehow. This baby is a blessing, not an attack on you. Grow up." I stared at that last message for a long time, a strange calm settling over me. Was I really the villain here? Was I supposed to smile and celebrate while my cousin and ex announced they were bringing a child into the world? A child conceived barely months after our breakup? A child that, in another timeline, could have been mine? I didn't respond to any of the messages. Instead, I called in sick to work and spent the day in a state of emotional exhaustion, alternating between crying and feeling completely numb. By evening, my mother showed up at my apartment, letting herself in with the spare key I'd given her for emergencies. "Honey," she said, sitting beside me on the couch where I'd been staring blankly at an unwatched TV show, "we need to talk about what happened." "I'm sorry I embarrassed you," I said automatically. She shook her head. "I'm not here because I'm embarrassed. I'm here because I'm worried about you." She paused, choosing her words carefully. "What Megan and James did? Starting a relationship so soon after your breakup? It wasn't right. And I understand why the pregnancy announcement was painful for you." I felt a knot in my throat loosen slightly. At least someone understood. "But walking out like that," she continued gently, "it's created a rift that might be hard to repair. Aunt Linda is furious, Grandma is upset, the whole family is taking sides." "Taking sides?" I repeated, a bitter laugh escaping me. "There shouldn't be sides, Mom. Megan started dating my ex weeks after we broke up. She knew exactly what she was doing, and now they're having a baby together, and I'm supposed to what? Bake them a cake? Throw a baby shower?" "No," Mom sighed, "but there might have been a middle ground between celebrating and walking out." "Like what?" I demanded, feeling the anger rise again, sitting there with a fake smile while everyone coos over my cousin's pregnancy with the man I thought I'd have children with someday, pretending it doesn't feel like a knife twisting in my gut. Mom was quiet for a moment. "I don't have an easy answer, Natalie. I just don't want this to permanently damage your relationship with the family, or your own peace of mind." After she left, I sat thinking about what she'd said. Was I the asshole here? Should I have stayed, swallowed my pain, and congratulated them? Was walking out really so unforgivable compared to what they had done? The next day, I woke up to a text from my father, who'd been unusually silent throughout the drama. Mom told me what happened. For what it's worth, I think anyone would have reacted the same way. Take care of yourself, kiddo. This too shall pass. His simple message of support meant more than I could express. It gave me the courage to finally respond to some of the messages, starting with my grandmother. I'm sorry I walked out, I wrote to her. I was surprised and hurt, and I needed a moment to myself. I love you and didn't mean to upset you. To my Aunt Linda, I was more direct. I apologize for leaving abruptly. It wasn't my intention to ruin the announcement. I hope you understand this is a complicated situation for me, and I'm doing my best to navigate it with grace. I didn't respond to Megan. What could I possibly say that wouldn't make things worse? That I wished her and James well? That I was happy for them? I couldn't bring myself to write words I didn't feel. A week has passed since then. The family is still divided. Some think I overreacted dramatically. Others privately tell me they understand completely. My Aunt Linda hasn't responded to my apology. My grandmother called and said she forgives me but thinks I should apologize to Megan and James in person. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do. Part of me wants to make peace for the sake of family harmony. Another part feels like I've already compromised enough of my own feelings to accommodate a situation I never asked to be in. So, internet strangers, tell me, AITA for walking out of a family dinner when my cousin announced her pregnancy with my ex's baby? Should I have stayed and pretended to celebrate? Was leaving really such an unforgivable sin? I honestly don't know anymore. What I do know is this. Sometimes there are no clear villains in a story, just people making choices that hurt other people. Megan chose James, knowing what it would do to me. James chose Megan, knowing how it would look. And I chose to walk away from a situation that was causing me pain. Maybe we're all a little bit the asshole here. Or maybe none of us are. Either way, I have to find a way forward, a way to coexist with the reality that my cousin and my ex are having a child together, a child who will be my blood relative, a child I'll watch grow up at every family gathering for the rest of my life. It's not going to be easy, but then again, family rarely is. So tell me, AITA?